doing this, and thank you everybody for coming. It's great to have this talk, and the topic could not be more timely with G7 coming to Cornwall, everybody talking about green futures, renewable energy. Senthil's title is Finding a Holy Grail Material to Fix the World's Energy Needs, and nothing is more important than that at the moment, so that's fantastic. Lots of you know Senthil already, but his work is on solar cells really, but also looking at new materials for renewable energy, and he's going to talk to us about that. Looking into his background this morning, he did a PhD in physics, I discovered, at Barathia University. I might have said that wrong, but Barathia in India. 2006 he did his PhD, and he'd also done an undergraduate degree there too. And he came to us in Exeter in 2013, but after working in Heriot-Watt and Loughborough University in the UK, and before that in Singapore and Korea. So he's an incredibly global academic. He's had jobs in 4 different institutions before he came to us, and he's still very young. So quite an interesting history, and I understand you're going to tell us a bit more about that long view as well as the short view today. So it's going to be a fascinating talk. Up to 40 minutes, we just said, so there's plenty of time for questions, comments, discussion. When Senthil's finished, if you want to ask a question or say anything, just put your hand up in the chat and then I'll call you. And hopefully we'll have plenty of time for discussion and questions, anything you want to raise. It's great to have you with us, though. Really pleased you're doing this. And without further ado, I'll hand over to you. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just sharing the screen. Can you able to see my slides? Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to talk to you about some of my research, what I'm doing here. Before get into the details, I want to start with 2 questions to all of you. So this is not the the practice session for who wants to be a millionaire. Don't put the answers in the chat box or anything. So I will reveal the answers. May not be the answers. I will tell you what answers may be suitable for to select actually. So the first question is, who consumes more electricity? The option A will be developing countries all together if you put them in one pot. And the B, the Bitcoin miners actually. The second question I wanted to put in front of you, which is the most deadliest one. So the COVID-19 pandemic, which is happening all around the world now, and then the air pollution or environmental pollution, which is happening last 20, 30 years now. And then the Spanish flu, which happened 100 years before actually. So which is most deadliest actually. So we will come to that one later. So as Jane introduced me, so I started my career in Barathia University back in Coimbatore in 2001 and finished my PhD in 2006. After that, I moved to South Korea for a short period, like two years. I worked as a postdoc there in Chonbuk National University in Cheonju. After that, I worked in Singapore for very briefly for 1 year in dye-sensitive solar cells, then moved to Loughborough University to work on the Solar Soldiers project, which was the DOE's project actually to fix some of the issues with the soldiers and the weight they are carrying. Most of the weight comes from the batteries. So those batteries, how we can replace them with the different types of devices, especially on the solar cell type devices. After that, I moved to Heriot-Watt to work on a global kind of a project, which is between India and UK. So to fix some of the issues on the most prevailing kind of a materials aspect of the solar cells. In 2013, I was joined in ESI. Almost ESI was very new at that time, actually. So I joined in October. I think ESI opened in April sometime. So from that moment, so I'm spending my time here actually with ESI, and then I'm enjoying my things actually. Totally last 8 years. So if you take, so I was involved in several funded projects. Actually, I'm published quite a lot of articles. So mostly from my group are from my names involved. Actually, it's almost like 120 articles in last 8 years. I have. My group is based on water and then food with the energy aspect to those kind of things. So most of the time, I try to branch out, not from a material perspective, and then in a system perspective, I try to work on the different types of environments like bioalgae and bioenergies, trying to create a hybrid kind of a system. So whether it may be a solar energy device or maybe a hybrid device with these type of things, and creating a sustainable energy power supply or sustainable energy supply to the community to create a better life environment actually. So these aspects will be focusing on 3 different aspects to my broad area of research. First will be energy. So there I will be working, what type of lighting, cooking, and then information and communication type of systems. And then not directly or sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. So working on the healthcare benefits of the society are trying to fit my materials towards the healthcare aspects to it. And then to start with actually, so work on the clean water stuffs or, water remediation kind of stuffs. And then a little bit working on the healthcare centers as well actually. And these two will lead to directly or indirectly towards the education or educating the economy, educating the society, and then focusing on some of the economic aspects to it as well. So we does sometimes we do kind of a formal education and then informal education as well. And then sometimes we learn from the society, sometimes we earn from the society as well, actually. And then we do kind of work, and then we try to earn or try to give a hands to the society to earn something from our research, actually. In sustainable energy technology aspect to my research, so mainly, as I said, 80% of my research is based on the energy materials. So I try to find a material or create a material which can be used in different types of platforms. So mostly I will be working on the carbon related materials, and then that can be used in the perovskite type solar cells. So I will tell you in a minute what is perovskite solar cell and then how that will work and what type of research we are doing in that one. So apart from these aspects, so I work in BIPV aspects like a building integrated stuffs, and then how my material can harness the thermal energy and then store them, utilize them for the betterment of the human health or the animal health or maybe a food processing industry, something like that. And then very briefly, last 1 or 2 years, actually, we started working on the electrical vehicle as well. In this talk, I'm not going to talk about the electrical vehicle aspect to it, actually, even though we published a bit of papers, 2-3 papers on those aspects, but I just leave it for the next time to talk to you about it. And so we'll come back to that question again. Okay, so I asked you, so who consumes more electricity, whether it is the developing countries as a whole, so if you put them in a box or a pot, or the Bitcoin miners. So there was an interesting kind of a scenario came last year, I think around August sometime in BBC. And that was a paper published by the Cambridge University. So they found out, so the Bitcoin, if you put them, the Bitcoin miners together as a one country, so there will be the top 30 most energy consuming aspect to it, actually. So if you take the Bitcoin aspect, or the people who are investing into the Bitcoin, it's 0.001% of the world population. So the amount of energy they are consuming is very, very large, actually. So sometimes it is higher than the Argentina. So as a whole, what they are consuming, so these people will be consuming quite large amount of energy. So to give you you some more flavor into that aspect, so this is a kind of a top 5 countries who will be consuming the world's electricity consumption. So if you put China and India together, so they consume almost like 30% of the world's energy actually. So the population wise also, they took almost like 2 to 3 billion people in one side. But if you ask me, so what about UK? So UK will be the 11th biggest consumer of the electricity. Okay, I'll come to that one later. So if you put all these people together, Bitcoin miners and then the developed countries and large populated countries, they took quite large amount of electricity what is generated in this world through different types of scenarios or different types of raw materials, you can say. So the other side, 1 billion people, they never see electricity in their lifetime. They never even know there is a light bulbs are there, and then you can able to talk to the people. They are far away, and you can able to see them sometimes actually, like what we are doing now actually. So that is not possible to them, or they don't have infrastructure penetrating towards them through the electricity. So the solar may be an option for them actually. So I'll talk about it later in the slides actually. It's if you take like, it will be about 590 million people, which is they are living in Africa. So they either have never seen electricity, or they have a very poor electrification rate. So this will be like 14% of the total population actually, you can take. So as I said, UK is the 11th biggest consumer of the electricity. Our electricity comes from different types of means. So if you take the renewable energy side, so we sometimes in summer, peak summers, we try to operate the grid towards the fully renewable energy, but so mostly we'll be using like 20 to 25% every single day, you can say like that actually. So the solar will be accounting 5% of our electricity needs will be fulfilled by the solar. So what is the problem? So why don't we have the bigger platforms or bigger kind of numbers of solar panels installed throughout the country, and try to harnessing more type of electricity, more electricity from solar? Is that a problem? There is a problem, and then there is not a problem as well actually. So this will be giving you an idea, so how the solar map will looks like for the entire world. So where you will be seeing the yellow color stuff, so they can able to give you a very good kind of a radiation or energy, solar energy throughout the year. And when the faded to purple color, then they will have a poor kind of radiation level every year. So this is the amount of energy you will be receiving from the sun every year. That will be like 3.8 million exajoules per year. So that will be the energy we will be getting every year from the sun. Okay, so that's the kind of a reserve that we have a money in the bank, or it will be just unlimited money you will be getting every time. So how much we'll be spending at the moment? So all together, so you calculate all our energy needs. So 628 exajoules of energy we will be consuming, from different types of means actually. So if I wanted to go for solar, so if I install solar everywhere, or maybe in my roofs, or in the lands, or in whatever means, so what I need to have. So if I have a material, or if I have a system which can able to harness the 6 hours of electricity, sun's energy, and then store it in a some kind of a form, then it is more than enough to meet out the entire world's energy consumption for the year actually. So that's the calculation you can see actually. So that's the potential we have. And in UK also, so we have a large amount of potential. And then UK is the if you calculate, if you take for a just for the argument, so we are the 3rd largest country to deploy the solar in if you take the European countries actually. So that's we are the third largest ones. And if you take 2010 and now, so we rush towards the solar deployments quite a lot actually. So is that enough for us? But it's not enough. So there are lots of ways to improve it. I don't know whether I will have lots of time to focus on these ones, but we will come back. I can discuss with you if you are asking me any questions based on this. So I told you, so 6 hours of energy harnessing and then storing into some form of energy devices actually, which can able to deliver the whole energy needs throughout the year actually. So what is the solar cells we have? So whatever you are seeing outside, so that comes completely from one single material most of the time. So if you see this chart, so these many different technologies are there. These many different materials are there in the market. So there are, it starts from some 12% efficiency up to 47% efficiency devices are available. So what's the problem of getting these ones? So for understanding this actually, so we need to understand some of the solar panels actually. So most of the solar panels, what you are seeing in the farms or in your rooftops, it all comes from the first generation solar cell, which is based on a silicon type material or silicon material. So it started 1954 back in US, and so it's a very mature technology. So you can calculate now it's about 70 years in the market. So the cost wise, so it's absolutely costly compared to some of the other type of. But the technology wise, it takes quite large amount of material usage. So the material usage will be a problem in this one. So the people try to develop further type of materials which can use less material, but almost match with the silicon solar cells. So that's how thin film emerge. So they match with the efficiency, stability, and other aspects to it, but they adopt the similar type of technology from the silicon. So so whatever the energy intensity, so to make these type of solar cells, they are using in the silicon. So almost a similar type of things they will be using for the second generation as well. So there comes the third generation. Third generation, they don't want to harm the environment. They don't want to harm the or they don't want to spend too much of money into it. They don't want to spend the too much of money for the infrastructure development and other stuff. So that's how the third generation solar cells comes in, and they can able to withstand with the efficiency level. They offer a very low cost ones, and then they are absolutely environmental friendly materials, except few things. Actually, there will be a star marks. So then that can able to have some activities which you need to ignore. So and then the problem is the low stability and scaling up challenges. I call them as a 3G solar actually. So so we are moving towards the 5G, and in the solar cells also we are trying to get into that 5G aspects as well actually. In the 3G solar, in my lab actually we try to focus on 3 different aspects to it. So one is the dye-sensitive solar cells, and then organic type solar cells, and then perovskite type solar cells. The dye-sensitive solar cells is based on a liquid junction one. So you will have 2 types of materials, and then you put them together and you inject some liquid inside. So that will keep going for the entire solar cell for 20 years or 15 years, whatever it is. And then the organic type solar cells, so you have a plenty of materials available, like 2,000, 2,500 molecules available to make solar cells or solar panels, and the efficiency of those systems are not very much great. So from these 2 things and mixing of or cocktailing the organic and dye-sensitive solar cells, we arrived to perovskite type solar cells as well. The advantages of these systems are very flexible, and then it can be put in any climatic conditions actually. So even though there are lots of drawbacks to that one, and then you can able to extend your absorption spectrum throughout the solar spectrum actually. So and then it's very, very colorful type materials as well. They can offer you low cost, low energy, protection cost in overall, and then they are environmentally friendly materials as well. What are the challenges? So any type of solar cells or solar panels, if you are deploying into the market, so then you need to have three aspects to it. Efficiency, at least 10%. You need to have when you are scaling it up into a bigger type of a module or 1 meter by 1 meter or bigger than that. So then you need to maintain that 10% efficiency of it, or at least you need to have 20 years or 25 years stability or reliability in the working conditions. So we will see very briefly about these three types solar cells. For the dye-sensitive solar cells, the efficiency is very, very good, and then for the OPV also greater than 10%, or some of the materials can offer you 15-16% efficiency in the laboratory scale. Perovskite solar cells, they are absolutely, the overtake the silicon now. It is about 25.5% efficiency at the moment you can get. When you are scaling it up, so still you can able to maintain these 10% efficiency as well, but the stability and reliability may be a big questions for most of these type solar panels. So what we are doing in our lab in ESI, we try to create the materials which can be addressing the stability and reliability issue, and then it will be focusing on some other aspects as well. So if you are having a solar panel, you may need to clean, and some of the energy what you are generating, so you will be spending them to clean them as well actually. So we use different types of materials, and then we try to make them as flexible as possible, and then we want to make them more friendly to all the people, so including animals and then buildings and most of the other aspects as well. So the perovskite solar cell, so that's the focus last 5-6 years in our lab. My group is working on it. So it has a kind of quality, so like silicon, to achieve the 25% efficiency. Those who are not familiar with the efficiency of a solar cell, so if you are throwing 100 photons on top of these solar cells, and then maybe 25 photons can be converted into electron, or you can use only 25% of that photons actually. So that's the efficiency of any type of a solar cell. So the silicon took like almost 50 years to achieve that efficiency mark actually. So that the improving that one is like an improving the Usain Bolt to from 9.8 seconds to 9.71 seconds actually. That precision they are working on now for the silicon. And then the people are thinking, or the researchers are thinking, the perovskite solar cell will give you a good fight for the market for the silicon type solar cells. So that took just 10 years to achieve the 25% efficiency. And the amount of interest the whole world is showing is enormous actually. The perovskite materials, they are not very new, so they are not invented in 10 years before. They were invented in 1800s, so it's based on the Russian scientist called Perovsky. So his name after those type of compounds, which I will show you in the next slide. So that is until 1980s. So people were trying to study a lot more aspects to the perovskite type of materials. After that, almost completely stopped after 2010. So where the perovskite solar cell comes into the market. So the working towards perovskite materials are increased like anything. Every hour there is a paper published on the perovskite solar cells. Those who are joining as a new entry into in this field, it's extremely difficult to find a niche to work on this type of areas. Most of the stuffs people have already covered. What we are doing in our lab, we try to improve the stability and longevity of those devices. We try to focus on the room temperature based perovskite solar cells, and then working on some of the whole transport materials where you will be using some of the organic elements inside, so that we try to replace them with whole transporting materials, and then we try to create some cocktail approach through the mixed perovskites as well to achieve that stability factors. And if you are creating the stability and longevity in a small area, device will not be a big kind of take on with the industries. You need to make them so the scalable or flexible type stuffs actually. So we try to create these type of solar cells in the screen printing or more innovative kind of approaches like 3D printing or inkjet type printings methods as well nowadays actually. And then we try to adopt some of the growing interest on the graphene as a whole transporting material. And then maybe in the future, we will get a paper on the integrating concentrating perovskite type solar cells, which may be the first of its kind from our lab actually very soon. So that's apart from that, we try to tune their morphology using different types of materials and trying to achieve the stability of these ones. And this is a slide from Anurag actually. So he worked quite a lot in the different aspects of the morphology of a similar type of materials, and then how that efficiency is degrading over the time period. So we tested about 35 days. After 30 days, it becomes very stable. So even though the efficiency level is very low, so but we can able to maintain it for a longer time these are all the room temperature prepared devices. And then we try to use some of the buffer layers and try to avoid some of the cross contacts between the electrons and holes, which is generated inside the devices, and try to stop them and using buffer layers and trying to enhance the stability of these devices as well. So this is a paper from Anurag as well actually. So and then we started using carbon materials inside our solar cells, and in that carbon, sometimes we use graphene oxide, and then kind of some of the different types of graphene materials are carbon materials as well. So the conductivity of these carbon is not very much great actually. So we use tungsten oxide into it and in various portions, and try to increase the conductivity of these layers at the same time, so increasing the efficiency and keeping the devices for longer period of time. So working out so how they can work on for longer duration. So that's the another aspect to these type of stuffs actually. So and then so we went wild actually. So in fact the Anurag wants to make a device based on completely carbon based ones actually. So he used different types of carbons and created a device based on that. So but the device efficiency is not very much great, but the stability was very, very good actually. So we thought of visit back to these devices for the near future as well. Okay, so these some of these works are the ambient temperature made perovskite solar cells based on the Subhranshu and Anurag Roy actually. So they try to create these type of devices by varying the conductivity of the device, and then trying to increase the efficiency as well as stability of these devices as well. Okay, so that's the brief explanation for the first question, and then maybe you can choose your answer now actually. Okay, so the second question I wanted to ask you is which is most deadly. So whether it is a COVID-19 pandemic which keep everybody inside the houses now, and or the air pollution or environmental pollution, or the Spanish flu which happened, it affected almost half of the world population in 1918 I guess actually. So okay, so I will leave the answer to you, but I will try to focus some aspect to these things actually. Okay, so the when there is a pandemic, we try to rush towards those type of pandemic and try to vaccinate ourselves and clean and wear the face mask, all the things we will be doing. But we forgot completely, or we just try to cover these type of truths inside the carpet. So 4.2 million deaths happening because of the poor air quality every year. So that's almost like 91% of the world's population lives under the worst air quality in the world, throughout the world actually. So according to the WHO, the ambient air pollution affects everywhere. So you can take London, and you can take Mumbai, you can take China, you can take any city in the world actually. So they are completely polluted, and so we, sometimes we try to speak about it, sometimes we just try to forget about all these aspects. So then you can go back to your question, and then you decide your answer now. So apart from that, so this actually struck me very hardly, sometimes when we went to Delhi, couldn't able to land on Delhi, and then our flights will be diverted into Chandigarh here and there actually. So from that point, I started working on some of the aspects of the materials which can be used, these aspects actually. So the energy, developing a technology, not only the material based ones, and then these materials can be used in different aspects to it actually. So one of the aspect will be the environmental pollutions as well. So when you are most of the time, so we'll be living inside the confined environment, right? So we wanted to stay inside, and very warm and cozy type of environments we wanted to live. So how we can just put these materials or adopt these technologies inside the buildings. So we did a project on it actually, so towards the net zero energy buildings, and most of our ongoing projects are based on the building materials, or building integrated photovoltaics, all these aspects to it actually. And so we have a bigger network with India now actually. So not only with India, so a lot more people from US, Mexico, and then Korea, Japan. So these people are coming together in these type of projects actually, and try to focus on the energy positive buildings or net zero buildings actually. So it is not only the electricity aspect to it, we try to focus on the space heating aspect as well. So one of the aspect to building integrated stuff, and you don't have a bigger area, or you can put it in this way actually. So some of the time, sometime actually we think, so the solar cell has to be a bigger one, or solar module has to be a bigger one actually. So but some of the potential solar cells like perovskite, so in a smaller area cells, they can give you a 25% efficiency very easily. But when you are trying to scaling it up, and then the efficiency will goes down drastically, and then the stability will goes down as well actually. We can able to fix these issues by having some kind of a wild thinking to it, or try to engineer these type of solar cells, not the materials actually. So as a devices. So what we did, or what Subhranshu did actually, one of my PhD student, he tried to see how perovskite solar cell will be affected by the different types of environments. So he heated the cells from 5 degree to 75 degree, and then he has find it out what type of an effect it is having actually in that type solar cell. And one of the other student, what he thought actually, so when you are scaling it up, so you lose lots of efficiency. So I wanted to keep the cells smaller, but at the same time, I wanted to scale them up as well actually into a bigger, so without disturbing that area of the cell. So we adopted the technique, having concentrating devices or concentrating lenses on top of our cells, and try to see what type of effect it will be creating throughout actually. So then, we try to see how this can be fitted within the building environment, or larger energy needs as well. So as I said, so not only the electricity side, we try to focus on the heat storage as well as heat removal as well. So some projects we worked on the perovskite based materials for the storage as well, or some of the phase change materials to take the heat from some type of materials. So we work very closely with Karimnagar Dairy to improve their milk producing ability. So the Karimnagar Dairy is one of the biggest dairy in Telangana state. in South India. So they are holding almost like 200,000 cows, and they are producing like 300,000 liters of milk every single day, and then producing it actually. So, but the environment, what we got for the animals, which is very, very bad in UK as well as in India. So what we did, we tried to create a safer and healthier environment for the animals. So so this project was funded by the Agritech Cornwall, and we created a system from the graphene coatings, which can able to take out the heat, excess heat from the room, and keep the building as cool as possible. So in UK, so the heat stress is the biggest problem for the animals. So we try to address these type of ones actually. So in that project, we have developed an kind of an idea for it, and then we developed a very small device prototype in that one, and maybe it will be explored to the companies later on as well. And then some aspect of our research is towards the water remediation. So we used the graphene, and then the same graphene, whether we use them for the water remediation work as well. So that's how. So before going into that detail, I wanted to give you a brief overview about what is happening with the water. So most of the water what we are getting, so which goes to the first industry we established actually. So that's an agriculture one. So most of our water, 70% of water going for the irrigation purposes, and then 20% goes for the industrial purposes, and 10% for the fresh water, which we will be using for the domestic usages. So if you take overall scenario, about 43 countries, so are 700 million people, they are living in the water scarcity areas. By 2025, so 1.8 billion people will be living up in the absolutely water scarcity areas actually. So so almost like 700 million people will be living or displacing, or they will become water refugees in the world to try to find a better place to live actually. So what we did, we tried to create a system based on the graphene, and which can able to remove the heavy metals from the water, as well as give some more aspect to work on actually. So in that one, so we take textile industries as a case study, and most of our textiles, so in the Western world, what we are wearing comes from either Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, or Nigeria. So these are the four major countries who are preparing our cloths actually. So the condition what they are living is absolutely poor. So the water used in many different aspects to the processing of these ones. We try to create an material which can be used for the heavy metal removals, as well as for the water purification purposes as well. So in the discussion or the question session, if I can explain more about these ones. So based on that, so we formed a group in India, and from with us actually from ESI, and there are so institutions from top to bottom. Top to bottom means so from Delhi to Coimbatore, which is the south part of the India, and textile industries, and then dyeing industries throughout the country, and we try to bring them together, and we discussed quite large amount of aspects to it actually. Some of my colleagues who helped me to conduct these workshops, I think they joined in this workshop in this talk as well actually. Okay, so this is what we have done. So and then most of my work, what I have presented, comes from these people who are, you will see in the bigger kind of photos here. And I wanted to thank them for their dedicated work, so what they are doing in my lab. And I want to thank Professor Tapas Malik and Dr. Asif Tahir and Dr. Aritra Ghosh for their contribution and help as well to create this work actually. Apart from these people, I wanted to thank some of my colleagues in India. So Professor Srinivas Reddy from IIT Madras, and Vandana Mishra from Delhi University, Professor Karthikeyan from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Professor Pala Kumar from Madras University, and Professor Muthukumar from Kongunad Arts and Science College actually. So most of my workshops happen based on them, and then they are the backbone for these workshops actually conducted in India. So thank you very much. Hopefully I gave a little bit of flavor about my research, what we are doing in the ESI, and so I have, as I said, I haven't covered quite a lot of the other parts of my research, but I wanted to address these two questions very importantly today. Thank you very much. Any questions? I'm very happy to answer you.
Great, thank you so much. That was an amazing talk, very inspiring. And there's so many applications for what you talked about in terms of, it's very ambitious. Agriculture, textiles, healthcare, education, which you didn't really talk about, but it was there as well. And then solar, which is what you're probably best known for as a group. That's, just one part of a much bigger agenda. So it's very exciting. I'm keen to see if anybody's got any questions, anything you want to say. Stick a hand up or just put your camera on and ask a question. Over to you. See who pops up.
Hopefully, so maybe they don't have any questions. Maybe they understood everything. And maybe there is one.
Yes, there is one. Whose hand is that? Please put your camera on and ask your question. Can't see my list. Satish. Oh, Krishnamurthy. Yes, Satish Krishnamurthy.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh. Satish, your mic is muted.
How many times we do the same thing? It's a common COVID norm to unmute. Probably in every meeting, we should have a caption saying that unmute your mic. Jeez. Sorry, guys. My name is Satish Krishnamurthy. I'm a professor at Open University on energy and technology. It's a diverse area, and thank you, Dr. Sundaram, for covering this wide range of topics. As Jane suggested that, education is another one. We could have hit the silver bullet that would have completed the whole circle. So my question is you mentioned about Africa. General, it's a dark continent, and but often people are misinterpreting Africa as a country than a continent, because Africa, that is one of the things which is painful exercise I have seen in many people are using Africa, but Africa is a country. It's made up of different countries. Can you tell me that which country in Africa is better at solar energy and also sub-Saharan, to be honest, or better in energy, renewable energy generation and also storage as well, and which countries are lacking? If you can give us that example.
So which countries are lagging, or which countries are better in terms of infrastructure?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, the infrastructure wise, actually, so I see South Africa and Ghana and Kenya, Nigeria. These countries are better kind of infrastructures they have, and some of the or you can say the North African countries, they are having a better kind of infrastructure, and then the East African countries, and then the West African countries, they quite often lag the infrastructure for renewable energy stuff actually. And then in terms of policies, and so there is one student, she just started with us actually. She's going to work on completely on the policy side. So what type of policies are welcoming the renewable energy, or which are just giving a wrong direction to the renewable energy stuffs also she's going to work on. And some of the countries, I don't want to pick any country and then name here. Some of my colleagues are there from that country now. I don't want to ask, embrace them. So, but some of the countries, the solar, so, they have a policy which is not very much going with the transmission and the generation. So because of that, they completely they have a policy not to go with solar actually. You know, some of the things happening in Nigeria as well. So this, I think that's the brief answer to you, Satish. First of all, thank you, Satish. Thanks for attending this talk.
No problem at all. Just one more question, just out of curiosity. What would be the silver bullet, you think, that can make a big difference in the sub-Saharan countries in terms of either you are a material scientist, so what capacity they may need to focus on? Just one thing which you wanted to convey.
I think the policies actually. So there must be a right policies has to be there, and then because large amount of industries actually. So I know some of the our students from the renewable energy. So their family having a solar manufacturing companies back in Nigeria. So but they couldn't able to get a kind of a deal throughout the things. The cost what they are making is much higher than the panels they are getting from the China. So the competing those type of prices will be a big issue. So they are lagging with the policy at the moment, I guess actually. So they need to have a right policy to sell or maybe establish the renewable energy throughout.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will stop here and see you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And it's interesting that you raised really questions of governance and politics as being really central to rolling out this. So it's technological things on one side, but also the kind of governance and politics angle, which is, of course, what the ESI is really set up to do, to try and bridge those disciplinary gaps. So that is a really interesting.
Yeah, so we have one student now actually, she's just started with me and David Benson. So she is working exactly on that aspect, what lags in Africa. So what is the policy they are lagging, and then how we can enhance the solar energy or renewable energy deployment throughout the Africa. So that's what type of policies needs to be there, or what policies are there and how it needs to be tweaked actually. So those aspects she's working. Mm-hmm. She's by profession she's a lawyer, and she's joined us just I think 2 weeks before. So
great. That sounds perfect. I've now got 3 hands up. Dr. Muthukumar was next. So if you're there and you want to ask your question. Yeah, here he is.
I am Dr. from Kogunar Arts and Science College. Professor Senthil, nice presentation as usual. My question is, what are the importance of graphene material which is used for water remediation?
Oh, okay, so thank you. So first of all, thank you very much for coming and attending the talk actually. So this, what type of graphene material? So usually the charcoal or the carbon used for the water filtration throughout the world actually for the industrial scale applications. The advantage of graphene is, so you can able to do quite a lot of variations. So if you are creating a membrane using the graphene, so that is going to be the good one. You can able to the screen the heavy metals. You can able to remove the colors of to some extent actually from the water. So those aspects will be very much helpful in the water remediation stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shrujita has got a question.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Senthil. Thank you for the wonderful presentation today. My question is quite similar to the previous question that you have been asked. In textile wastewater, when you are using graphene, so can you tell me what's the basic difference between using different kind of graphene-based materials, as we know there is RGO or graphene oxide, or maybe using kind of heterogeneous oxides like composite materials, and how the particular RGO or graphene oxide can trigger the mechanism in the wastewater treatment?
Yeah, I think so. What we try to achieve in our lab, actually, we try to make a membrane based on the reduced graphene oxide. So that's what we are trying to make actually. So because most of the experience what we got from Tripur back in Coimbatore actually, so where we try to set up doing these aspect of the research, and they use carbon, the bulk carbon for the water remediation of, it's not water filtration first, and then so after some time actually, so they try to lag with the proper type of a membranes actually. So we try to create a membrane which is having a part of graphene, and then some of the metal oxides into it, and then so it's like it's not a one single type of materials it's going to be used actually. Series of steps will be used, and then that can be screened for the wastewater remediation. So the main the point of this work is to try to get an simplified system, and which is having a less cost, and it can able to remediate kind of or reset the water for the dyeing industry. So most of the people living in Bangladesh or India or in Pakistan, Nigeria, so they use almost like 5,000 liters of water every single day, and then they use for the one-time dyeing, and then they throw it, and then they use the another water. So that's the biggest issue in the environmental pollution chain actually. So when you are trying to make a simple system, so which is having an effective system which can able to remove some of their colors and retain the quality of the water, and then they can reuse it again actually. So that's the type of a system we are trying to propose, and we developed a system, a very small system in Kongunar Arts and Science College actually, and because of this COVID, we couldn't able to continue that research. We stopped it now actually. Maybe in the future we are going to do that. So we try to establish a very small system where you can just throw your wastewater, and you will get, it's not a pure water to drink actually. So you will get a relatively a clean water. You can use it again for the dyeing. So that's what we try to achieve. So in that aspect, so the graphene oxide is the most probably we are trying to use. That's what we used also actually. And now what we try to achieve in our lab here, and we try to screen some of the heavy metals actually. So but there are lots of difficulties to it as well, and we try to collaborate with some of the colleagues from from ESI itself actually. Some people are working on it.
Yeah, thank you. Just a continuation question to this. Like when you're using graphene oxide and reduced graphene oxide, so could you please tell me how this two is working differently in the system, or what is the particular functional group or the variation which is affecting the wastewater management? Because I have read papers where the two works kind of differently and have showed a better results.
Yeah, actually the reduced graphene oxide ones, so they are better ones so compared to the other system. So because they can able to take the heavy metals very easily. So that's what so what we did background kind of research it's showing actually. So I haven't read those details into it actually. So maybe I can in the another situation or another kind of a meetings I can explain you in a better way. So we have a few more people have a hands. So Jen, so yes. I think Sudha.
Go for it, please.
Sudhagar, you.
Yeah.
You are muted, Sudhagar.
Mute, yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Hello, this is me, Sudhakar from Swansea University. First of all, Dr. Senthil, it was a fantastic presentation. Even I can understand some of the basics from other applications. So basically what we are working here in Swansea, water treatment based on solar energy using the nanomaterials. It's quite interesting to see both a wide range from solar cells, water treatment, and even some of the cow projects. It's a really very high impact for the society. Congrats to the ESI and your team. And I have a couple of questions. One is on perovskite solar cell. I'm really wondering to see the statistics on the publications on perovskite. every 1 hour the articles has been published. So now the point is, so what will be the next direction, apart from the academic fundamental research, to move a little bit at least pre-industry or something like a large scale development? What's your review?
Yeah, Dr. Sudhakar, thank you very much for attending the talk, actually. So,
thank you.
Actually, it's a really interesting question. So nowadays, getting an efficiency in the perovskite solar cell may not be a big issue. So they achieved almost like 25.5% efficiency now. It's a certified efficiency. So that's for a very small cells, actually, like an 0.5 centimeter square or less than that, actually. So when you are trying to scaling it up, and people wants to see an efficiency like 17-18% as what silicon will be doing, and then trying to achieve the similar type of stability as well, actually. The problem with the perovskite is the stability is not that much great, actually. So it can give you a 10 to 12 years of stability, but lots of people, if I sell a 2 pounds worth of device, which can just give you like 25 years of warranty, and then people you can put it anywhere, something like that, and then another device which is a very fascinating one, and put lots of effort and heart, soul into that device, but that will be only 10p, but it will work only for 10 years. So I will just, as a customer, I will just go and pick the silicon one, because if I pay 1 pound, so that can go for like 25 years without having any problems. Even though I will, as a customer point of view, I will choose that one. So that's the perovskite industry, I think, heading towards. So they try to achieve very close to the silicon, and trying to have a system which can overcome the silicon. So not competing with the silicon, or try to take the silicon into this second level, having a tandem devices, and then trying to join them with the silicon, and improving the efficiency of the silicon into almost like a double or triple times, actually, something like that. So that's the industry heading towards. I can see very clearly there, some of the Oxford PV. So they made their first tandem devices with 28% efficiency now, actually. So and the niche about the perovskite solar cell is not the bigger scale deployment. So the niche comes within the buildings. I believe so. Perovskite will just change the way we look at the building integrated solar cells in a couple of years down the line, actually. So some of the research I don't want to discuss actually in this forum, but maybe me or toppers will come and discuss with all of you one day. So we had a very good results actually in our backs, actually, so already.
Yeah. Another question, the last question, is about the water treatment, what you're doing in your lab. So are you working on a static system or the dynamic system, like a flow cell or a static condition?
Static.
Pollutants.
Static.
Okay. The second thing is what type of dyes you are testing, like anionic dye or cationic or mixed dyes or?
At the moment, we are not doing any dye ones. The dye removal will be very easy part of the wastewater treatment. The treating the wastewater for the heavy metals is the biggest trouble. Most of the stuffs. So you can see you come where I come from also, actually, right? So
yeah.
For the other people, the Jain. So we come from a city called Coimbatore. So there was a river, and then the river was completely polluted by the textile industry. Even the coconut will have a purple color coconuts inside, actually. So yeah, that much they have polluted. So those stuffs, actually. So and then the groundwater is completely polluted. Quite a lot of UK people, UK water center, they are working in that river. Even Satish also working in Coimbatore to an extent, actually. So there, so these gives us an kind of an indication. So what we can stop from the beginning. So instead of trying to just blame each other, actually, so I blame the dyer blames somebody and something like that, actually. So we try to stop this one, and then trying to create a very simple system for the dyers who are not comes under the kind of a regulatory conditions. So because in the city I come from, Jane, actually, so almost like a 5,000 to 7,000 dyers are there. So they never comes under the one roof, where Dr. Sudhakar comes from. That city also famous for the textiles.
Yes.
And then there also, actually, so there is no kind of a so there are companies. So most of our cloths made there, actually, so that they are going through the government norms when treating the water and other stuff. There are small vendors, like, so they will use 1,000 liters of water, 2,000, 3,000, something like that. They buy per liters of water, like 50 to 60p they are spending. So equivalent to UK money. They are spending that much amount of money to buy the water and then use it one time and then throwing it, actually. So we try to save that one, actually. So that's my concern, is to remove the heavy metal. That's why we try to write that review article, which is highlighted everywhere in my talk and all these ones. So that one is looking at the various type of dyes, various type of materials used in the textiles, what type of heavy metals can be seeped through in the water, and then what may be the future direction to remove them initially. So, and then just use water which can be used. So that's why we are not focusing on the dyes. So there are dye removal. There are quite a large number of people are doing it.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we've run out of time. I'm sitting here thinking I need to buy shares in you, Senthil. You've got loads of potential here for incredible patents and new developments too, for changing the way that we do so many very basic things. And I'm thinking your cow shed, which we haven't had time to talk about, the cow shed could be a great prototype for thinking about all our buildings and spaces and heat and light and energy. So we must carry on these conversations. We're 3 minutes over though, so we have to stop. A really big thank you for an excellent talk, and thank you to everybody who's come along today. We're going to record, well, we are recording it, and we'll put it on our website. So if anyone you know hasn't been able to make it today, send them to the ESI website where you'll see the events and past events. This will be on there. So a big thank you. We should really applaud you, but it's difficult with everybody muted.
Thank Amrita. She did a wonderful job, and then she, I think, advertised me throughout the internet platforms. So thank you very much, Amrita.
Yes, Amrita's done a great job, promoting your papers and so on, and we'll carry on supporting your work. Very lovely to have you with us today. Thank you all for coming very much.
Thank you.
And see you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye. Great job, Senthil. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.